This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, so key topics that we are going to discuss today is what is mean by WMS solution, warehouse management solutions, and so what are the key players available in the market, who actually what are the other softwares that we have in the market, and we'll understand what is WM, and so how the WM evaluated. So basically when it is introduced and how what are the changes that have come in WM, all these things we'll discuss. And after that we'll introduce the EWM functionality, and we'll understand the landscape and deployment options, and finally we'll understand what are the processes available in EWM. So first thing, so what is mean by warehouse management? So why do we really need to use the warehouse management software in a business? So generally, again, so if you are using any software, obviously there must be some simplification in the life, right? Let's say I have a business and I would like to manage all my inventories or all my transactions or all my processes in a software. So in order to do that, we need to choose a software. So for this warehouse management, obviously we need to have some softwares available. So what this warehouse management solution does is, so basically the activities whatever we do in the warehouse, such as receiving the stock from suppliers or receiving the stock from manufacturing plant, all these activities, instead of capturing these activities in the paper, so we capture them in the system. And also what system does, the system will not just really act as a data, I mean just act will not act as a data entry, it also acts as a solutioning. So when I say solutioning, instead of you choose something, system will propose something. So we'll try to understand what is we choose something and what system will propose something. So basically WMS is a web-based solution which is designed to meet the business requirements of all inventory handlings or inventory movements. So we can use this software for managing the inventory, and also to track the inventory, and also record all inventory movements within the warehouse, or which are coming into the warehouse or which are going out of the warehouse. So all this information we can capture using this warehouse management software. So what are the benefits of warehouse management basically? So if you are using any warehouse management software, so obviously we don't really need to use the papers for handling the transactions and all. So we can have paperless management. So in case if all transactions are executed earlier, or all transactions are recorded in a paper or a book, so obviously they can be digitalized. Okay. And efficient monitoring. So when I say efficient monitoring, if I have to find out, let's assume in your house is of some 3000 square feet area. In 3000 square feet area, if you have to find out which item is placed in which room or which place, obviously, I mean, if it is simple 3000 square feet area, we'll be able to identify it is available this here in this room. But if it is 3 lakh square feet area and I'm handling, assume that some thousand materials, I'll not be able to find out, or I'll not be able to remember where these thousand materials are placed. Correct. So using this WMS solution, so we will be able to find out of this 1000 material, if I have to find out a specific material, where that material is exactly available, and what is the inventory of the material, how many quantity or how much quantity is available. So that information we can find out using the reports that we have. So which is nothing but, so the monitoring of inventory and everything we can do it from the tool. And obviously it will increase the productivity. So why it will increase the productivity is because earlier you are doing transactions in the paper, and now everything is digitalized. And obviously if I have to find, I mean, if I have to check the report, or if I have to perform certain transaction, system will guide me everything. A system will assist me to do these activities. So whatever the activity that you are doing earlier, it may take, let's assume that it was taking some 30 minutes. Now that activity can be done in maybe half time or less than that also, depending on how we have set up the system. And all the softwares, whatever we are going to use in the market, I mean, whatever the softwares that we have in the market, they are easy to use. You don't need to be a, I mean, as an end user, I'm not speaking about the consultant perspective. As an end user, we don't really need to have, I mean, they don't really need to have the full technical information of the tool. It is just a web-based or GUI-based transactions. It is like just they just need to execute transactions. They, I mean, and using this softwares are very easy. And all these transactions are seamless customizations. I mean, all this softwares what we have seamless customization. When I say seamless customization, assume that you're building your own home versus buying a home. So when you're building a home, obviously you can build it as per your requirement or whatever as per your taste. So you can modify, you can design, you can do everything as per your taste. But when you're buying a home, obviously it is like whatever is there, you have to use it. So all this WMS software is when you're implementing it, right? So you just buy the software and you implement it based on the your requirement. You can build it based on your requirement. So which is nothing but you can customize it seamlessly. So based on your requirement, you can configure, you can develop, you can uh, map your business processes without any issues. So all these WMS softwares are highly customizable. Now, what are the key players that are available in the market who, who actually delivers WMS softwares? So we have multiple, I don't know, in fact, there may be some 200 plus softwares also available, but these are the softwares which I worked. So when I say this, I worked, I mean, obviously, what I did is I've migrated all clients from those softwares to SAP. So I cannot say that SAP is the back. That's why I put SAP as a key player. Again, so this is just for illustration. So we have multiple softwares available. So Info, Texis, Sophion, Click Reply, HighJump, and we have Oracle, we have Manhattan. So we have Blue Yonder software, Blue Yonder WMS solution, we have Fishbowl WMS solutions. So these are all different players available in the market who actually gives WMS solutions, out of which SAP has more market, and we also have Manhattan, which is also has more market. So Manhattan Associates that also has a more market basically. And again, so why SAP has more market is because if you look at the ERP solutions in any company, so most of the companies are using ERP solutions. When I say ERP solutions, we have other modules also in SAP, SD, MM, PP, QM, so the FI, CO. There are different modules available in the market. I mean, in SAP. So using for you just for using WMS solution, we cannot really go with a different software and integrate our system with that software. So that's why SAP has more market in the system. I mean, in the more market in the it has captured the more market. So SAP is actually now it is around 40 to 40, 42 to 43% share available in the WMS solutions in the market for SAP. Again, there are different solutions available, there are different softwares available in the market. So but SAP is something which is which has more coverage. Now in SAP, within SAP we have, this is how WMS solutions are evaluated. Initially when R3 was released, SAP R3 was released, there was no WMS solution, and then SAP introduced something called lean warehouse management solution. So we'll try to understand all this terminology, what is meant by lean and all. And after that, SAP introduced warehouse management, and then it is decentralized warehouse management. And then we have extended warehouse management. And within extended warehouse management, we have different versions. You can see all these versions: supply chain management 5.0, 7.0 to till 9.6. And after that, we have embedded warehouse management, embedded EWM. So embedded EWM started from 1610, and now we are in currently it is in 2020 version. And also we have another deployment option, which is decentralized EWM on S4. So these are the options we have. So let us try to understand what is meant by warehouse management solution, or how we use SAP warehouse management solution. If you look at this, this is a typical warehouse, right? If you have gone to a maybe Walmart or any stores, right? You would have seen some racks placed, and rack numbers will be available. and for each rack you'll see some barcodes or some numbering will be available. So just try to visualize like that. So to understand the warehouse management solutions and all, just try to visualize with your Walmart. So here what we do is, if you look at this, here we have around some 20 racks, but if the warehouse is too big, if it is, let's say, some 3 lakh square feet area or 5 lakh square feet area, it can be more. I mean, we may have more racks also. So we may have some, instead of 20 racks, we may have some 200 racks also. So we need to identify, we need to split all these racks into different storage types. So we have something called storage type. So first thing, what is mean by storage type? So again, if I take example of Walmart or any supermarket, so if you go to supermarket, you can see different sections. In one section, you can see cosmetics. In another section, you can see soaps related items. In another section, you can see grocery related to oils, dal, and all these things will be available. In other section, you can see washing soaps and washing powder, all these things are available. And in other section, you can see cold storage related products and all. So how these are organized like that? So what we have to do is, in our warehouse also, we have to organize all our materials. Assume that I'm handling some 1,000 materials or 1,000 SKUs in a warehouse. First, we have to organize all those 1,000 SKUs in the warehouse, saying that yes, all these materials are finished goods materials. These materials are semi-finished. These materials are raw materials. And I have some cold storage materials. I have some packaging materials. So we have to split the entire warehouse into multiple storage types depending on what kind of materials that you're handling. So that is nothing but subdivision of warehouse into storage type. And after that, what we do is, again, within the subdivision, we may have multiple sections. Let's say I have finished goods materials. So finished goods materials, some finished goods materials are fast moving and some finished goods materials are slow moving. When I say fast moving, the demand for these materials are huge. So I receive those materials and I ship those materials. So which means materials are fast moving. And some material finished goods only, but some materials are slow moving. I don't have much demand in the market, but I still need to have those materials in my inventory. So I'll dedicate some space in the warehouse for those finished goods which are small, medium moment or uh, low moments, and that I'll divide into one section. So that is nothing but your warehouse structure. So here what we do is, if you look at this rack here, we have multiple racks, rack number 34, 35, 33, 32, something like this, rack numbers available. Each rack we can consider as one storage type. That is one possibility. Or these two racks, 35 and 36, I can consider as one storage type. And 35 I can consider as one section. And 36 I can consider as another section. So this is how we define the warehouse structure in the system. So we need to understand the physical structure of the warehouse and we have to define this. Again, this can change from one business to business, client to client. So this can vary from different business processes to different business processes, in fact, so that we can understand when we actually get into the real time. That's a different story. So here we have terminology called aisle. So aisle is nothing but there's a gap between these two racks. You can see the rack number 35 and rack number 36. So the gap between these two racks is nothing but aisle. So we generally identify what is the aisle of the rack. All this information we identify in the system. And also you can see multiple levels. So this is ground level and this is level 1, level 2, level 3, multiple levels available. And finally we have bin numbers. You can see something called bin. So bin is nothing but, you can see barcodes here. So these are the barcodes. So these barcodes are nothing but, I mean, there can be barcodes or there can be just numbers. So this is where we are actually storing the inventory. If you look at these boxes, so these boxes are placed in the rack. So ultimately, so this is the entire rack. This is the entire rack. This rack is subdivided into multiple bins. So this is bin number 1, bin number 2, bin number 3, something like this. So if you look at this level, I mean this bay itself, complete bay, we have, excuse me, Sorry. So if you look at this bay, so here we have multiple bins, 1, 2, 3, and 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 bins available in this bay. Likewise, depending on how many bays available in each rack, you can create multiple bins, or we can maintain multiple bins in the system. So this is what is the warehouse structure is. So first we have to understand the warehouse and how we have to divide the entire warehouse into multiple storage types depending on type of materials that you're handling. And then the warehouse is split into multiple storage types, and then further they are divided into multiple sections, and then finally we divide them into multiple bins. It's like this, and this information is something which we need to identify. So what is that ultimately we are going to achieve with this, right? What is that we are going to ultimately achieve with this? As I mentioned, I have some 3 lakh square feet area. I have 200 racks like this, and now I'm receiving one material from the supplier. So now the truck has come. So when the truck comes to the warehouse, so first we unload the stock, and then after we unload it, there could be certain activities such as quality inspection. So I need to perform the quality inspection. So if all my quality requirements are met, then what I'll do is I'll move the stock from unloading area to the location which is empty in the warehouse. So how do I find out what is the empty space within the warehouse? I have these many racks available, these many bins available. So how do I find out which is the empty space in the warehouse? I'll not be able to find out, right? So system has to guide me. System has to guide saying that this is the empty space available. Move the stock to that empty space and then complete your activity. So that is something which is driven by the system. And also now stock is placed in the bin that is proposed by the system, or that is driven by the system. And my shift is over. I'm leaving now. And after that, there is another person who is actually working. So that person also should be able to identify where that material is placed. So in order to identify, person don't need to roam around the warehouse and find out where the material is available. So if they should be able to check a report. If they're able to check the report, they should be able to find out where the material is available. So that is something which system will drive. So it shows that material XYZ is placed in this bin, rack number 36 and bin number 2 or bin number 3. So that information system will give. So that is nothing but the reporting. So with any WMS solution, not only just SAP WM or EWM or whatever it may be, any WMS solution, ultimately this is what we are going to achieve. Okay. So any questions till now? I'll take a pause. Perfect. I'll take it as no. Let me continue. So now in EWM, if I directly go about the process, go into the process of EWM. So these are the main processes that we have in EWM. First is inbound process, and then we have warehousing and storage, and then we have internal processes, outbound process, evaluation, planning, and monitoring. So these are the processes that we have. If I subdivide all these processes again, in inbound process, we have these many processes. Like we have yard management. I'll explain about each and every option that we have here. We'll try to understand. So we have inbound process. Inbound process subdivided into yard management, different processes, yard management, unloading, goods receipt, quality inspection, validated services, deconsolidation, warehouse optimization, exception handling. There are different processes available in the inbound. So we'll try to understand all these processes, how we map this in the system, and what are the business requirements we generally get. So when it comes to storage, so in storage, first we need to identify how the stock placement should work, how system should be able to find out the empty space, or whether we need to find out a really empty space, or we need to find out the space which is already occupied by some other material or some other batch. So that kind of options we need to develop in the system. So that is nothing but put away strategies. And we need to understand, or we need to define in the system whether I can club two materials in the same bin. or 2 batches in the same bin, or 2 expiry dates in the same bin, 2 manufacturing dates in the same bin. So all those things is about storage, how you'd like to store the material. And we have something called handling units. So in case if you're not, so handling units are nothing but, so these boxes, what you see here, all these boxes will have some number. Ultimately, the product, whatever we are handling, that will be inside this box. So this box, we call it as handling unit. So this box will have some number. So that number is something which we generate in the system. And then that number is something which we actually track in our reporting. And also you can see barcodes. So barcodes are nothing but barcodes are used for scanning purpose. So obviously we don't really use any computers. Mostly we don't really use any computers to perform transactions and all. So we use some scanners to scan for performing transactions and all in the system. So we'll understand this barcoding also. So when it comes to other processes such as internal and all, we have bin to bin moments. So for some reason, I would like to move the stock from one bin to other bin. There's some material placed in one bin, and I would like to move the stock from that bin to any other bin. Or I received some stock which is in quality inspection, stock which is quality hold. So now the quality has cleared the stock, saying that yes, this stock is meeting my quality requirement. Now I need to use it, or I need to consume it. So in order to consume it, obviously we don't really consume it from the quality inspection stock. So we need to convert the stock from quality inspection stock to a normal stock. So which is nothing but posting change. So those transactions. And obviously all ad hoc adjustments. So we have ad hoc adjustments such as, let's say, I would like to issue the stock to scrapping. So there is one batch, there's one product, one batch, which is already expired. I cannot keep expired stock in my warehouse. I have to scrap it. So these are all some ad hoc adjustments that we execute. And also we have something called physical inventory. So physical inventory is nothing but, let's say in the system, one material, 100 quantity available, but physically there may be only 95 quantity. Okay. So that 95, the difference of 5 quantity. So why the difference has occurred? There could be any reason, right? So there are issues in the material handling. There are issues in the shipping. There are multiple ways, I mean, multiple reasons for which you can see the differences in the system. So that differences we can handle through something called physical inventory. So cycle count is another process which is of physical inventory. So that is also we can understand. And we also have something related to replenishment. This also will understand. And when it comes to outbound, we have different processes in outbound, and also in evaluation and monitoring, we have different processes. So this is a high level, I mean, this is high level of EWM, but let us understand how these processes will work. Now, if I have to receive the stock, right? So if I have to speak about the receiving process, how the receiving will work is, first I'll identify the need of a product or need of a material. It can be a raw material or it can be a finished material, finished goods material. We need to identify the need of the material. So that comes from the planning. So once planning results are there, then what we do is we run the planning, and based on the planning, it can be a process of generating the purchase requisition. Assume that purchase requisition is generated, or if I don't have the purchase requisition, directly we can create the purchase order. So purchase order is nothing but just saying that you're choosing a vendor, you're choosing the supplier, and then you're ordering a material to the supplier. So now the purchase order is created and it is released to the supplier. What supplier does is supplier will send a confirmation, which is nothing, which we call it as order acknowledgement, saying that yes, I have received your order and I'll deliver that particular product on the day that you require your product, or before that I can deliver. So that information is nothing but we call it as order acknowledgement and vendor confirmations. So order acknowledgement is nothing but just order is saying that vendor is saying that I have received your order. And after that, confirmation is nothing but vendor confirmation is nothing but they'll send an information saying that I'm going to send a material, or I've already shipped a material to your premises. So using this information, what we do is we can create something called inbound delivery. Inbound delivery. We are going to receive the stock into the system, or inside our warehouse. So we create inbound delivery. This inbound delivery will be handed over to EWM, and then once the stock actually arrives at our warehouse, we perform the goods receipt, and then once the goods receipt is complete, now stock will be available in your system as well as in your premises. Once goods receipt is complete, stock is available in your system as well as in your premises. After that, we need to identify where this material to be placed. I have a warehouse with 200 racks, so I need to identify where this material to be placed. In order to identify where this material to be placed, we create something called warehouse task. And if I have assumed that I have multiple materials, so multiple tasks will be created. All this task system will club into something called order, warehouse order. So that warehouse order we can print and we can hand it over to an operator for completing their activities, saying that you move the stock from this location to this location. So that information will be available in the warehouse task and warehouse order. Now, once activity is complete, I have to update in the system saying that my activity is complete. That is nothing but confirmation of warehouse task and warehouse order. So this is a process flow of receiving. So in this, to transfer the data to transfer the data to EWM and also to receive the data from EWM, we use a communication method called QRFC, Queued Remote Function Call. So this is a communication method that generally basis consultant will set up. QRFC is a communication method, right? And if it is outbound, when I say outbound, if it is shipping. So in shipping, how the process will be: first, you receive an order from the customer saying that I need maybe this material or this group of materials. I receive an order from the customer. So first, what I'll do, I'll check. Based on my planning, based on the check and all, availability check and all, system proposes that yes, these are the materials available, and these materials I can deliver on so and so date. So that is nothing but your planning or nothing but your schedule. So once schedule is updated, so what we do, whenever we really need to issue the stock to the customer as per the schedule date, we create something called delivery. Now that delivery will hand it over to EWM and then we execute it. So execution is nothing but, so in the warehouse, first I need to find out I have these materials, or where are these materials placed. So first find out where are these materials available. For that, again, we create a warehouse task and warehouse order. And then that warehouse task and warehouse order will hand it over to an operator. Operator will go pick materials and then move it to one location where we actually need to start our loading activities. And then once stock available at that location where loading activities will take care, then we confirm the activity. So that is nothing but confirmation of warehouse task and warehouse order. That is nothing but confirmation of warehouse task and warehouse order. Once we complete the loading and all, then we perform the goods issue, so which is nothing but shipping out the stock. Okay, shipping out the stock. So this is outbound flow. So this looks completely high level, so you'll not be able to understand this much. But if you try to compare this with pictures what we have, so you'll be able to understand it properly. Now, how the receiving will work? So receiving will work like this. First, a truck comes in. Truck will report at the checkpoint. So first step, truck will report at the checkpoint. Okay, so this is a checkpoint, and after that, we say that in case if there are empty doors available, you can see multiple doors available in a warehouse. The possibility there could be a single door or there could be multiple doors also. Depending on availability of door, I can directly redirect the vehicle to go to a particular door. If empty doors are not available, then what I need to do, I need to have a space in my warehouse or outside my warehouse to park my vehicles. To park my vehicles, I need to have some space. So that is nothing but yard. We call it as yard. And how this vehicle movements within yard are managed, or these are managed by a concept called yard management, which I was explaining earlier, or which I was showing earlier in the topics. So now vehicle is available in the yard or parking space. After that, maybe after some half an hour, now the door became free. So what I'll do is I'll redirect the vehicle to go to a door and then dock at the door, which is nothing but park at the door. Now vehicle is parked at the door. So what are the activities that we need to do next? So we need to start unloading. So I'll unload the stock from the truck and then I'll place in one location. And then what I'll do is I'll perform something called goods receipt in the system. So goods receipt is nothing but, so once stock is unloaded and placed in my warehouse, I need to update that information in the system. Otherwise, what will happen? If I don't update that information in the system, it still shows as stock is not there in your warehouse. That's why I need to complete my receiving process in the system. So once I complete my receiving process or goods receipt process in the system, after that there could be different activities. So different activities are, maybe I need to label or I need to perform repacking. Let's say I'm receiving one bigger box. In one bigger box, I have multiple items. But what I wanted to do is I want to break that bigger box into smaller boxes. So individual items, I want to place in individual boxes. So for that, I'll do the repacking and then I'll do the relabeling. So those activities I'll perform. Or there may be a requirement of quality inspection. So materials which I'm receiving from the supplier, I may need to perform the quality inspection. I'll perform the quality inspection. Once quality inspection is performed, there may be a requirement of performing some special activities, any special activities. So all those activities I'll perform, and finally I'll move the stock to the rack. I'll find out, system will propose. So there is an empty rack, and then you place the stock in that empty rack. So that information system will propose. Finally, operator will move the stock from one location to other location. So if you look at this process, so we are following each and every step or every process that is followed in the physical warehouse, right? That we are trying to capture in the system. If you are from WM background, we don't have this kind of options in the WM. So you can't do these activities, step-by-step activities. It's just like in case if you have, let's say you need to perform unloading, you cannot capture the unloading activity. Let's say if you have repacking related activities, you cannot perform repacking related activities. When I say repacking, like system cannot propose saying that this material is due for repacking, move to a location where repacking is done. So that kind of proposal system will not be able to do it. Or there could be some validated services. So when I say validated services, you are receiving, assume that a material which is subjected to climatic conditions. Now I don't want the material to be damaged if I place the material in my warehouse. So that's why I want to apply some ingredients to the material whenever I receive it. So that is nothing but a validated services. Or if you're working in apparel industry, assume that you're buying a t-shirt for $10, but if you'd like to sell it for $15, so we need to relabel it. So the relabeling activity is an additional activity for us. So that also I can capture as a validated services. So depending on the material that you're receiving, we can set up the process in such a way, this material due for quality inspection, move it to separate location. This material is due for repacking, move it to separate location. This material is due for validated services, move it to separate location. All this information system will drive. So that is the main difference between any other WMS solutions available in the market and EWM. Other WMS solution will focus mostly on the storage, whereas EWM will focus mostly on the process along with storage. Ultimately, storage is something which we need to achieve, but before that, we also need to follow the process. So that is what we are going to achieve with EWM. So that's why we call it as process-oriented storage control. I'll take a pause. Any questions?
I do have a question.
Yeah.
So here in WM, we have integrated and non-integrated customers, right?
Mhm.
So on the same way in EWM, how will you be handling the integrated and non-integrated? Is it through EDI or is there something else?
It is through EDI only. Through EDI. So for everywhere, like EDI is something which we need to use if you have something related integration law.
So will be covering that area also, EDI how to?
No, in the training content, I'm not covering the EDI part for EWM.
Okay. Now what about the RF transactions in?
So again, we have not discussed much about that, but yes, in WM also you have RF transaction, but in standard itself we have around 40 to 50 transactions which we have available, but in EWM we have more transactions with RF. So
Okay.
yeah,
RF area will be also covered, right, during the training?
right. Yes, yes.
Okay, cool.
So this is about the process oriented storage control. Again, if I speak about this is receiving process, if I just reverse it, so this will be a shipping process. So how the shipping process will work? Again, it is same. What we do first, we have to identify where the stock is available, and then pick the stock from that location or from the track, and then move it to a packing area and complete your packing related activities. Because without packing, we don't really issue the stock to any customer, correct? So it's not just like pick the material and throw it on the truck, right? So we perform packing. So complete the packing and complete the labeling related activities, and then start your truck to go outside, or let your truck to go outside. So these are the activities that we do. So in outbound process also, we have multiple steps. First, we pick the stock, and then we perform the packing, and then we move the stock to a location where we stage it before the truck comes in, and then we ask the vehicle to go outside. So these are the processes available in outbound also. So again, as I mentioned, other WMS softwares will focus on the storage and receiving shipping related activities, whereas EWM focuses more on processes. And we have some special processes. So we have a special process called kitting. Assume that you are in a, if you are in automotive industry, this is mostly used method for especially for spare parts and all. So if I take a small example, let's say I would like to open the car engine. When I say it's obviously the mechanic. So mechanic need to repair the car engine. If mechanic has to repair the car engine, then obviously there must be some dependent components also they need to replace. Correct? So let's say I have to replace the piston. If I have to replace the piston, it is not just the piston that I'm replacing. So we have to replace the gaskets, oil seals. There could be some nuts and bolts we have to replace. There are many things that we need to replace. So which means some products are interdependent or some materials are interdependent. So if I'm ordering a material, along with that, I need to order other material also, right? So basically what happens is, as a customer, let's say when you're ordering online in any e-commerce site, say for example, you're ordering a computer or laptop. So when you're ordering a laptop, you may order saying that, if you wish to buy, you may order, let's say a mouse, you may order any other components, let's say pen drive or any other, let's say some 3-4 components you would like to buy along with laptop. So what generally business does is, so they'll kit them together. When I say kit them together, they'll pack them together and then ship to the customer. They'll pack them together and then ship to the customer. So based on the customer requirement, what we do is we generate kits. We generate kits. So that is nothing but kit to order. Kit to order based on the customer requirement. And we have other, so which is nothing but kit to stock. So kit to stock is nothing but, let's say I have planned some promotional offers. A simple example is, if you go to supermarkets, you would have seen a promotional offer saying that if you buy 3, a 4th one is free. So the 4 materials are clubbed together. So that is something which is a promotional offer which I planned. I know how, I mean, I'm planning saying that I would like to sell some 1,000 kits in a maybe some 10 days time. If I have to sell 1,000 kits in 10 days time, what I need to do is, based on my forecast, first I'll generate kits and I'll store in my inventory. I'll plan and store in my inventory. After generating kits, I'll store in my inventory. Then what I can do, as soon as the customer requirement comes, then I can directly issue this kit to a customer. But whereas in case of kit to order, it is like based on the customer order. Whenever I receive the order from the customer, that is when actually I start performing the kitting related activities. But if I already know that all these materials always delivered together, why do I need to wait for the customer order? I can generate a kit and store in my inventory. So these processes can be implemented in EWM, directly in EWM. When I say EWM, directly in EWM. Generally, you can compare this with the make to order and make to stock scenario in case if you are from PP background, or if you know something related to production process. In make to order, what happens, whenever customer orders, that's when we actually start producing it. And that is make to order. In case of make to stock, based on the forecast, we produce something and then we store in our warehouse and then we ship it to the customer. That is make to stock. But here we don't really have a manufacturing facility. In this example, we don't really have a manufacturing facility. What I'm doing is, I already have some inventory in my warehouse. Based on the customer requirement, I'll generate a kit and then I'll issue to the customer. Or based on the forecast, I'll generate kit and store in my inventory. And whenever there is a customer requirement, that's when I'll actually ship the stock to the customer. So these are kit to order and kit to stocks. So which is a process in EWM. So we can integrate this with PP also, production planning also, in case we have a special requirements. And we have a process called cross-docking. So cross-docking is nothing but, especially EWM triggered cross-docking. So generally we have other cross-docking processes also. We have something called transportation cross-docking. In case if you are in a supply chain, let's say for example you have some 3 warehouses. In the first warehouse, when you loaded the stock, it is only a partial truck. So I don't want to waste the truck utilization. So what I would like to do is, I would like to load some more stock from the other warehouse, which is in my transportation lane, right? So what I'll do is, I can ask the vehicle to go to warehouse number 2, load the stock, and then go to the customer or go to customers. That's how transportation cross-docking will work. So for this, we need to have an integration with the transportation management and all these things. That's a different story. But we have something called EWM triggered opportunistic cross-docking. So basically, assume that you're receiving a material from the some supplier. So I'm receiving a material, let's say 100 quantity from the supplier. But before I receive the material from the supplier, I already have an order which is ready-made available from the customer. I need to deliver this material to the customer. In that case, what I need to do, I don't really need to receive the material, move it to the stock or move it to the bin, and then again pick it from here and then ship it to the customer. That activity is not really needed. If there is any requirement for this material, whatever I'm going to receive, if there is any requirement, what I can do is, I can directly unload from the truck and load it in the other truck. So that is nothing but cross-docking. So you're receiving it in the receiving area and you're directly moving it to the shipping area to load it to the to issue to the customer. So this information, what it is completely driven by EWM. EWM, what system will do is, it will validate what are my receivings, or what are the stocks that I'm going to receive, and what are my requirements. So based on that, system will perform the cross-docking on its own. Obviously, we need to set up some configuration and some data to work with this cross-docking process. So this is completely executed in EWM. So here you are not really wasting the time for moving the stock to this storage and then pick the stock from the storage and then again loading on the truck. So that activity is not needed. So in this, assume that you are receiving 100, you have a requirement of 100, you can directly issue to the customer. But if you have a requirement of only 50, you can split that box and you can move 50 quantity to the storage and 50 quantity to the customer or outbound truck. That's how it can work. And if you have a more requirement, then obviously what system will do, it pick the stock. It will pick the stock from the receiving area. Partial quantity, it will pick the stock from receiving area, and partial quantity it picks from the storage. That's how cross-docking will work. Okay. And this is what we are discussing about RF, right? So mobility. So mobility is something which is really important, because I cannot keep on, let's say if I have to complete certain transaction in the system, I cannot go back to IT office and then enter some information in the system, right? As an operator, if I'm performing certain transaction or certain activity in the warehouse, I should be able to update that information in the system real time. If I don't update that information real time in the system, then obviously that would lead to many inconsistencies. So that's why we need to have a mobility. So EWM supports RF and scanners. So basically, if you look at this picture here, so we have a barcode on the box. So as an operator, I'll utilize the scanner and I'll scan the barcode. Basically, there will be some places where we can scan and some places where we need to enter some data. So I'll be able to enter the data and then complete my activities using these scanners and all. And also we have something related to resource management. So this, the forklift, what you see here, this I can consider as a resource. So the main difference between WM and EWM, in case if you are from WM background, so in WM we don't have a functionality of resource management and all. Assume if I take an example, I have a high rack. I mean, there is a rack which is about some 10 meters height or 10 feet height. 10 meters is huge. If I take 10 feet height, 10 feet height rack is there. Now I need to move the stock. I mean, there is a stock which is incoming. I need to move the stock to the high rack, which is at 10 meters height. If I have to move it to 10 meters height, I should have a forklift. So this is a forklift which can reach till 10 meters height, right? So assume stock is in the receiving area. I pick the stock into the resource, and then when I go to the bin, I try to place the stock in the 10 meters height. But then I realize that my resource which I'm using is not capable of reaching till 10 meters height. Then what I need to do, again go back to the initial position, take a different resource, move the stock to a different resource, again go back to the bin, and then try to place the stock. So this kind of hiccups, right? This kind of activities, generally, if you are keep on doing these activities multiple times, obviously you're wasting the time in the warehouse for performing transactions and all. So what EWM does is, we maintain the physical layout and we maintain the physical restrictions of all bins, and we assign what kind of resources that we can use. We don't really assign which forklift it is, but we assign what kind of resources that we can use to perform certain activities in some areas. So that information we maintain in the system. Using this, when you're trying to select a resource, and if the resource is not intended for performing certain activities in that area, then system will throw an error saying that this is not the right resource. Sorry, this is not the right resource that you have to use. So that kind of restriction is available in EWM, which is not available in any other WMS systems. So using this both options, mobility and resource management, we can complete our transactions without using a computer really. Right? As an operator, we don't really need to use a computer. I can complete these activities from using this scanners itself. And if I want to check any reports, basically if I want to see the stock information, if I want to see the warehouse task information, all this information I can check from the scanner itself. So that is the flexibility of the mobile devices. Okay. And finally, reporting. So reporting is something which is needed for any tool, right? So efficient reporting or efficient transaction process is something which is really important. So obviously for checking reports, we use different transactions and different modules. So let's say if I have to check purchase orders, I'll use different transaction. If I have to check sales orders, I use a different transaction. And if I have to check inbound deliveries, different transaction, outbound deliveries, different transaction, stock, different transactions. I mean, in SAP, different modules will have different transactions. And if I have to check report, I have to use different reports. Whereas in EWM, we don't have many reporting tools. So we have centralized reporting tool called monitoring, Warehouse Monitor. So in the warehouse monitor, we can check everything. So what all we can check? We can check how many deliveries are pending, how many deliveries are pending for receipt, how many deliveries are pending for issues. So what is the inventory of the warehouse? What is the utilization percentage of the warehouse? And how many tasks are overdue? And what is the performance of the labor? Let's say if I plan to complete this activity in 15 minutes, but if the activity is not done in 15 minutes, there is something really wrong. So that also we can check. So all this reporting we can check in something called centralized reporting tool. So which is nothing but warehouse monitor. We don't really need to remember many transactions in EW. It is just with simple monitor, we can check many things. We can perform transactions also using monitor. So that is the advantage of reporting in EW. And obviously, if you need to check the KPI, key performance index and all, so we have some analytical Fiori apps. Only one, in fact, one analytical Fiori app available, warehouse KPI, where you can check all this information in a graphical format. So that information we can check. And there are some other analytical apps available for different transactions. So that also we can use for our reporting purpose and all for different reportings. But if you're using web-based or GUI-based reporting, it is only one transaction. That is nothing but centralized reporting tool where you can check everything: inbound deliveries, outbound deliveries, stock, warehouse utilization, alerts, everything you can check from the monitor itself. Any questions?
So I'm new to this warehouse management, but so can you please explain why it is called extended warehouse management?
Right, I'm there now. I'm going to explain about it. So this is what I was saying, right? This is how EWM is validated right from the beginning. So as I mentioned earlier, when SAP R3 was there was no WMS system. There's no warehouse management in SAP. And initially it started with the lean warehouse management. So lean warehouse management is nothing but this entire warehouse, what you see here, this entire warehouse is considered as one bin, which means if I have to check the report, system shows that it is there in this bin. I'll not have a clarity again which rack, which stack, which level, all this information I'll not be able to find out with that lean warehouse management. But just to introduce a functionality, SAP has introduced a lean warehouse management. Entire warehouse is considered as one bin. That is lean warehouse management. And after that, SAP has introduced normal WM, SAP WM, warehouse management. So which means to track the inventory, to track the stock placement, to track the stock removal and all these activities, SAP has introduced a functionality of warehouse management. Now there is something called decentralized warehouse management, which is again warehouse management only. But what we do is, instead of keeping a normal SAP transactions and other warehouse transactions in the same server, we can divide only warehouse transactions into a different server. When I say, for example, you have a computer or you have a laptop. In the laptop, let's say for example, you have some 600 GB data. So if you have 600 GB data in the laptop, obviously your laptop will become slow. So what we try to do is we try to store some of the data into a external hard drive. So when you store the data into external hard drive, it is like your system will become fast. Now here we have in SAP also we have something called planning system and execution system. Warehouse management is an execution system. Why I'm saying that is simply, if I take another example, if you go to any let's say for example any electronic shop, you'd like to buy a refrigerator. If you want to buy a refrigerator, then what we do, so we go to the electronic shop, we choose the model, and then we pay the bill, and then we come home. So it's like the refrigerator will be delivered after a day or two, that depending on the shipping address and all this. That's a different story. So now, so this electronic shop is a planning, and they'll have a warehouse where the execution will happen. Actual execution will happen. So now for us in SAP, the planning system is nothing but I create purchase order using module called MM. I create sale order using module called SD. I perform production related activities using a module called PP. And I perform all my financial transactions using finance and controlling, FI and CO. So this is all my planning system. Actual execution, actual receiving, actual shipping, all these activities are done in a system called warehouse management system. So if I'm using this deployment option, normal SAP or a WM deployment option, my planning and execution both are clubbed together. In single instance, planning system and execution system both are there. But whereas if I want to keep my planning system and execution system separately, then I can use this option of decentralized warehouse management. This is one deployment option which is introduced by SAP. So functionality wise, whatever you have here, this same functionality is available here also. In normal warehouse management and decentralized warehouse management, functionalities are same. Only thing is you are using two different instances, and we need to set up the communication between these two instances. So that is warehouse management. So this is a traditional warehouse management solution which is available. After that, what SAP did is they've introduced a new module called extended warehouse management. So extended warehouse management is nothing but, so it is not just an extension of what we have here. I mean, it is not just extension of WM. This is a completely different module, extended warehouse management, with different functionalities. Obviously, the core concept of receiving, shipping, storage will remain, but with additional functionalities such as I was explaining, right? Process-oriented storage control. So processes like kitting, validated services, cross-docking. So by introducing all these functionalities, SAP has released a different module called EWM, Extended Warehouse Management. So this module is not released recently. It is there in the market since 2006. This EWM is there in the market since 2006. But since I'm getting almost all functionality, I won't say almost, but I'm getting some functionalities related to EWM and WM. Clients were using this WM, but now what SAP did is SAP is forcing everybody to move towards EWM. They're going to stop the support for WM. Again, the roadmap is that initially they said by 2022 we'll stop the support, and then they changed it to 2025. They change it to 2027, and there's no specific timeline as such saying that when the support will be stopped. So now SAP is focused towards EWM, and SAP pushing all clients to go to EWM implementation. And in EWM, we have these many versions. So they started with 5.0 initially. So EWM was part of a different server. It was part of a different server. There is something called SCM, Supply Chain Management Server. So this was part of SCM server. In SCM server, we have these many modules. These many versions. So these many versions are there. So what I need to do, if I have to implement EWM, then again, I have to implement ERP as a separate server. That means planning system separate and execution system separate. So even though I have a requirement of going for EWM implementation, earlier clients were hesitant to go with EWM because they have to implement two servers. So that's why what SAP did is they've changed the strategy. They've changed the strategy and they've released a version called Embedded EWM. Embedded EWM. Embedded EWM is nothing but functionality wise, more or less functionalities will remain same, but this is on S4 HANA. We have a new version called S4 HANA. Earlier we were using ECC. Now we have S4 HANA. So all clients who are on SAP ECC, they are trying to migrate to S4 HANA. And when they are migrating to S4 HANA, so instead of going for a WM implementation, clients are trying to implement EWM only, Extended Warehouse Management, that too embedded version, mostly embedded version. Again, here also we may have a requirement saying that I don't want to club my planning system and execution system together. I want to keep them separate. Then we have a separate option which is introduced, decentralized EWM on S4 HANA, which means I can use S4 HANA itself, but in one instance, I can use all other planning modules. In other instance, I can use the execution system, which is nothing but EWM. So that is a deployment option which we have recently. There are implementations going on here also in this version also, but more or less core concept will remain same. I won't say 100%, but in these three deployment options, what you see here, core concept will remain same. There are slight differences, but core concept will remain same. Any questions? Right. So that's why, as I mentioned, this decentralized EWM, which is nothing but this one and this one, both are almost same. So this picture depicts that. It is only the server which we are using different. Earlier we were using SCM server. Now instead of using SCM server, we are using S4HANA server. That's all. That's the difference. Core concept will remain same almost. And in our training, we are going to use 2020 version, the latest version, 2020.
I have one quick question. So, in case of decentralized, how is the communication done between the ERP and the EWM system?
We have two options. One is we can use something called QRFC, Queued Remote Function Call, and we can use TRFCs also. But mostly used method in the market is QRFC. So in case if you are familiar with APO, to transfer the data between ERP system and APO system, we use QRFC. So it's just like IDOC. Let's say if you wanted to connect with your partner system, we generate an IDOC and information we pass through IDOC, right? So QRFC is also like a IDOC only. So the information, whatever is there in the delivery or any data, that will be that system will generate a queue and it will transfer it to partner system, which is EWM system.
Thank you.
All right. So this is a background of EWM. Again, if we go into each and every topic, what I have written here, it will take each topic will take 2 hours, 3 hours, something like that. So high level, this is what is EWM is all about. So any questions from anyone? If not, finally, this is my suggestion. So if you have to learn something, right? So we have to practice. Practice is important. Without practice, we'll not get anything. So generally, we spend 1.5 hour time daily in the training, and you need to practice at least 1.5 hour, 2 hours for learning the tool. So without practice, just hearing to the classes will not help you. So if no questions, I think that's all from my side.
Just one question about the class. So this class, what will be the timings, and how about the license for S4HANA or something?
So we have the server. We have the server for practice. I mean, whatever the server that I'm going to use for training, right? Same server you get. You'll get the access in that server only. So that we'll take care. There is not an issue. And timing will be 8 p.m. CST, Monday to Friday.
And how long will be the training, like duration of the training?
It will be 8 weeks.
Well, I have a quick question. So it will be all 5 days, like from Monday to Friday?
Right.
Okay.
Since when we are starting this one?
We need to plan based on the availability, based on the availability of participants. So basically I need to get the confirmation. So once everybody confirm or how many, then I can plan when we can start it.
So if by any chance we miss the class, will the recording be available to us of that class?
Right. Every session will be recorded. In fact, now I'm recording the session. So
Okay.
all sessions will be recorded and these will be shared in the drive.
Great.
Narasimha, can I get the timing? 8 p.m. to
8 p.m. to 9 p.m. Sometimes it may spill over to 9:15 to 9:20, something like that. 1 hour 15 minutes, 1 hour 20 minutes. It depends on the topic. So it is minimum 1 hour, maximum 1.5 hour.
okay, and how long it will go?
8 weeks.
8 weeks. Okay.
Yeah. Subject is huge. So 8 weeks. In fact, this 8 weeks, what I'll cover is what is needed for the generic market. When I say generic market, obviously there are some topics which are specific to some clients, may not be used in all clients, but mostly whatever needed for the market, right, to get into this subject or to go for any implementation, that is something which I'll cover. In fact, if I have to cover whatever I know in EWM, right?
So I have a question about the format of that training. So will it be like, this presentation based and simultaneously we have to work on that that server or the interface that you are going to give us, or how is it going to work?
See, we'll have process flows for every process. We'll have a process flow, and after that we execute the we configure in the system and we'll test in the system to see the test result. Whatever we configured is working fine or not. We prepare some use cases. So those use cases will implement in the system and then we'll test it and see what is the result. That is how the format will be.
Yeah, so
It is not
that
just
will happen. So that test case is going to happen during the training, or we have to do it separately outside the
no,
class?
it's during the training. It's
Oh,
during the training, and also I'll keep
okay,
assignments.
okay, got it.
And will we be completing one end-to-end implementation EWM during the training?
One one guarantee that I can give you is if you are following the entire all the topics that I'm covering, right, you can complete one implementation.
So
But again,
during
this is important. This slide is important.
yeah, so the has a practice. We don't be having that like a section like for practicing creating a end-to-end.
No, we'll not be having a separate session for in the for practice, but it is like I'll explain something, I'll configure something and I'll test something. So I would recommend you to practice that. And again, as I said, I'll be giving some assignments. So you need to configure something for that. So if you're stuck, obviously I'm there to help you. That's how it will be.
Okay. And will you be covering that if there is any queues happen, like there is a issue with the flowing from ERP to EWM system? So how to fix
Right.
it? All those things will be
Yeah.
covered.
Yes. Fine then. So that's all from my side. So you can reply to me in case if you have any questions. You have my mail ID.
Okay, cool. Thanks, Narasimha.
So I've just put my mail ID here.
Yeah, thanks, Narasimha.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you,
It was very
Narasimha.
nice.
Thank you, Narasimha. Thank you, Narasimha.